and today we have 2 on points lined up for you. In on point 1, Manipur is on edge again. 3 killed in a deadly dawn attack. Protests erupts on the streets and old fault lines are widening. Is peace slipping away from the state? In on point 2, Tamil Nadu politics has been shaken in just 24 hours. Annamalai has quit the BJP, launched a new movement and set its sights on electoral politics. Has BJP lost its biggest face in the state? And now let's take a quick look at the headlines. Amid global turmoil, the Indian economy continues to show resilience as India's real GDP is estimated to grow by 7.7% in financial year 2026, whereas real GDP growth projected for the fourth quarter is pegged at 7.8%. New revelation in TCS Nashik case. Complainant reveals that she was made to watch videos of Pakistani Islamic cleric Tariq Jamil and Zakir Naik. India conveys strong protest to Pakistan over an order by the country's Supreme Court allowing the conduct of general elections in Gilgit-Baltistan. Mallikarjun Kharge files nomination papers for Rajya Sabha from Karnataka in Vidhan Sabha. Double trouble for Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar after Minister Ramalinga Reddy resigns. Another Minister Muniappa miffed over portfolio allocation. Fresh violence has once again shaken the state of Manipur. 3 people, including a village chief and a woman, have been killed in a pre-dawn attack in Kangpokpi district. At the same time, protests erupted in Churachandpur after 3 armed men detained by security forces were released following public pressure in the area. So is Manipur slipping back into a cycle of violence, and has the state failed to address the deeper fault line between communities? The latest flashpoint emerged from Loibol, Kholin village in Kangpokpi district. According to local reports, armed assailants launched an attack in the early hours of the morning. 3 people, including a woman, were killed and several homes were reduced to ashes. The violence forced terrified villagers to abandon their homes and seek shelter in nearby forest areas. While local accounts have attributed the attack to the members of NSCN, IM and ZUFK, authorities have not officially confirmed those allegations. With tensions already running high between Naga and Kuki groups, investigators now face the challenge of establishing responsibility before the situation spirals further. Even before news of Kangpokpi attack emerged, Churachandpur had witnessed dramatic scenes. Women protesters blocked a national highway and later surrounded a police station demanding the release of 3 detained men. Hours later, the men were released, raising serious questions about the ability of the forces to enforce the law amid intense public pressure. The latest violence is not an isolated incident. From serial blasts and riots to hostage crisis, killings and shutdowns, Manipur has witnessed one flashpoint after another throughout 2026. Every attempt at reconciliation has been followed by another eruption of violence, exposing the fragility of peace on the ground. The killing of the 3 people in Kangpokpi comes against the backdrop of another unresolved crisis that has been haunting Manipur for weeks. 6 Naga men abducted in May. This is something which is denied by the Kuki groups, but Naga organization says that are still missing. Now, Naga civil society groups continue to accuse the government for failing to secure their release. Anger is now spilling onto the streets with fresh protest and ultimatum directed both at the state and centre.
We have given an ultimatum to the government of Manipur, a 4-day ultimatum. That is in line with the decision of the United Naga Council to release the 6 Naga hostages after establishing the status and hand it over to the victim family and to the Naga people. We started our agitation by today itself. That is, we started our solidarity march for the 6 hostages family, demanding the government of Manipur and the government of India to establish the status and release and hand it over the 6 hostages to the victim family.
And the pressure is no longer limited to protest. The matter has now reached the courts With no breakthrough in tracing the 6 missing Nagas, the Manipur High Court has stepped in seeking answers from the state government. Significantly, questions have also emerged over conflicting claims regarding the National Investigation Agency's involvement in the case.
EIL is filed regarding the 6 Nagas who were abducted on 13 May 2026 from Lailon Wi-Fi village, Kangpokpi. Till today, since 13 May 2026, till today, nobody knows their whereabouts. Nobody knows even whether they are alive, whether they are not alive. Nobody knows whether they are secure, they are not secure. Nobody knows. Therefore, we are compelled to file this public interest litigation before the Honorable High Court of Manipur. It has been stated in the press by the state government of Manipur that the case has been handed over to NIA.
The key question is simple but troubling. How many more incidents will take place before lasting peace returns to Manipur? If armed attacks, retaliatory tensions and street protests continue to dominate the headlines, is the state moving towards reconciliation or drifting further away? On this issue, I am joined by the input editor of News9, Bijesh Pandey, Chi Michael Haukip Lamjathang, social activist, Colonel Shanti Kumar Sapam, spokesperson Meitei Heritage Society, P.K. Mishra, former ADG BSF, and Professor Prasanajit Biswas, Professor of Philosophy, Northeastern Hill University. Let me straight away go to Lamjathang Haukip. Mr. Haukip, what is happening in Manipur?
Kartikeya, yes, good evening. First of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt condolence to all the civilians who have lost their life. I personally know Mr. Minlam, who is a very devoted Christian, who just got married, and his wife is 7 months pregnant. He was earlier in my village. Basically, he's from my village. Original village is from Nazang near Henglet. He is now settled with his wife's village in Loibol, which is about some 10 kilometers from Nambol, near Bishnupur district, in the foothills. So Loibol actually is a peaceful Thado village. The chief himself, Mr. Mangpujang, is very close to me. His younger brother, who passed away this morning, was the acting chief of, because the chief, Mangam, is a government employee. He's not stationed there in the village. That's why the village is taken care by his younger brother. So today, Kartikeya, attacks on civilians, villages, this type of terror attack has been, happening in the last so many months. After the popular government, it's almost more than 30 people, civilians, church leaders, women, kids, everybody have become even victims of this Manipur violence. It has been shifting, and all communities, irrespective of Kuki, Naga, Thado, whatsoever, who have been suffering like anything. Today, you have lost. People have lost in the security and law enforcement agency. That is why all community have formed their own, village volunteer or armed group to defend themselves. So today, the state government and agencies, various agencies, needs to strengthen, their, mechanism, so that every citizen of the country should have faith in them. Mistrust is there to the government. So when there is loss of mistrust in the government, so everybody took up arms. So the people of Manipur deserve peace, security, and justice, and freedom to live without fear. So the message is very clear. Anybody, whosoever, whatsoever, it is,
how can I understand that? My question to Mr. Mishra is, why have these random killings picked up, sir?
Kartikeya, I can well tell you, this random killing, definitely it's happening, as because this all started from Ukrur incident, Troglob incident, and also the killing of pastors, 3 pastors. And it was earlier, conflict distrust between Maitis and Kukis. Now it is the distrust between Nagas, Tamkul Nagas versus Kukis. I can well tell you, when the 3 pastors were killed, Kartikeya, I also told on Tiger Row, it's still not clear whether it was JDWF or KLAL. I repeat again, whether it is JDWF or KLAL who have killed these 3 pastors. Now I will tell you, this is such a beautiful place. That's Loibal Kulen. Definitely, because 13th May, because the six Nagas, they were taken, and now whereabouts of these Nagas are not known. I'm nobody to tell whether they are existing or they are not existing. They will come back or not, but nothing is known about that. The worst part of it, we had two more Cobra battalions reached Impal. And day before, 3 days before, I told that in fact they should go to Kangpokpi, they should go to Krul, and they should go to Churachandpur and Chandel. They have to be deployed, and this is a national highway to remain open. This is definitely, I'm telling you, there are two frequencies, two axes, Kartikeya. It is the cookies are telling this the handiwork of either ZUF Kamson. It is Jaliangram United Front of Kamsun with NSC and IM. But both of them, they are denied. And now I am telling you what has come out in Hills Herald. I have seen the Hills Herald. They have clearly told that Kuki Liberation Army has attacked KNF president.
Okay.
So now things are very clumsy. And in fact, people are not having their trust on security forces. That is the worst part of it.
Okay.
And that is the violence.
Let's divide this into pieces. There are two things which are happening, Colonel Sapam. One, security is getting blocked. They are not getting to do the job. If they want to do the job using hard measures, it creates counter criticism. Okay. So, Colonel Sapam, your opening comments on the increase in these random killings that have started in last 6-7 months. You see, there was a downturn in violence. We have to admit that. It was not as if the violence continued. There was a downturn in violence. Incidents were sporadic. But in last 90 to 100 days, Brijesh, suddenly this entire momentum is up. Mr. Sapam, why has that happened?
Kartikeya, good evening, and good evening all the panelists. Yes, you are absolutely correct. It has again on the rise again now. And it's a very sad thing because it's happening in my state, and I also want my state to be something like, Punjab, then Maharashtra and all those things. I want my state also to be happening. But it is not happening now. Why it is not happening? There are some reasons basically. As I said before also, the beneficiaries don't want this, violence to come down. That is first thing. Now, what is the role? If the beneficiaries don't want the crime to come down or the violence to come down, then what is the duty of the government, the state government as well as the central government? They have to have hand in hand. 30 kilometers, 20 kilometers national highway, you can't open it. A country like India, you can't open it. You have to have something in this thing. You have to have the will. The political will has to be there. It is not the problem of the security, agencies who are here. But the government as such has to come down very heavily. They have to mean business, and people should come to know that yes, the government means business, and we have to act as per that. That is the thing which is required over here, and which is missing. And let it be any community, any.
Are you saying that security forces are lacking a mandate, political mandate?
No. Yes, political mandate. Yeah. See, security forces are capable, but then the mandate is not there. That is what I am saying. And any death, it pains my heart, let it be any from any community. The family must be suffering, and all more, I deal with many children who have lost their fathers or mothers here. 115 children are here in the valley. It's so painful to see their, child, small children. How they must be, if you don't see the dead body not coming, even more painful. 6 Naga gentlemen whose whereabouts is not known, lost in the thin air. The family, I can understand the trauma which the family must be facing. But what happened is, if somebody gets the body, there's a movie, there's a movie called Troy. The father of the king, the eldest son, who was killed by the other, enemy. The father went to get the body, It is so important to get the body, mortal remain, to get from the enemy is very important. But which, it's not happening here in Manipur. It's so brutal, yeah.
Okay.
So I feel so sad, yeah. I can only say this.
Okay. Let me take opening comments from everyone. Professor Prasanajit Biswas, sir, your opening comments on sudden spike in violence and these random killings, or are they not at all random?
Yeah, I mean, that's a matter of really an investigation. But suffices to say that the kind of organizations which are, whose names are coming forth for organizing this kind of a violence and killing and brutalizing the whole village as such, in Loibol Kullen, which is an isolated village, and seemingly a targeted attack in the morning hours has happened today. Now that shows a certain kind of an orchestration of violence, and such a violence can be orchestrated by only an organized insurgent group. So what remains here for the state to see is that those groups which are still not part of SU, those groups which are not coming to terms with a kind of a peace agreement, in fact, these groups have to be reined in. And that is a task easier said than done. And I'm sure that central agencies are trying to work on this kind of an aspect. And also state government probably needs to tighten its own security mechanism. And proper security surveillance and monitoring need to be carried out on the ground. All that went missing. And it is not unknown to the security agencies that certain areas are vulnerable. And these areas are targeted by organized groups from the other ethnic groups, and this has been repeating itself. So one has to really map those areas where such possible attacks can happen. And accordingly, preventive measures need to be taken. And this preventive measure was completely missing. While there was a talk of hostage release and negotiations were on, just to spoil the entire process of negotiation, such a violence has happened. And this is a targeted, orchestrated, well-organized kind of a violence, the face of which is pretty disturbing. It's like carrying out a genocide, once again, on the Kukijo people. So this is something very, very saddening at this moment when we are trying to overcome the phase of violence. Kartikeo.
Absolutely. Brijesh, killing of civilians, killing of people who have nothing to do with the process of violence, or people who have nothing to do with organized groups who have organized themselves in violent activities, I would use the word, it leads to genocidal capacities being built. If you look at the history of Rwanda, Hutus and Tutsis, which happened very mass scale, innocent people were killed because they belonged to a community. There was no other reason. Now, if in Manipur, innocent people are getting bumped off like that, we are not able to tackle, so I'm not using the word genocide, but something which is genocidal.
Well, I would say, Kartikeya, that, after, going through all these violent incidents for last 3 years, I would say that the individual group, or, a motley group of people belonging to either ethnicity who wants to create Manipur on simmer, they have been able to do it without any problem from the state government. The second part is that the state government completely lacks the wherewithal and also lacks the political will to solve this particular crisis which is unfolding in the state of Manipur. I refuse to believe that if the intent of center state would have been to eradicate violence, would have to make sure that 6 Nagas youths being abducted and they're not able to find out where exactly are they. They've just simply vanished in thin air, and they were thinking that that the situation would not come to this is like living in a fantasy land. So if you ask me, I mean, it has been 3 years. Yes. And you have enough boot on ground, and if you don't have intelligence, I think it is more indictment or more indicting of the government rather than these forces, because these forces are inimical to the interest of the country, to the interest of the state. They would want Manipur to be on boil. And what happens? You remember lone wolf killing in Kashmir. Lone wolf killing in Kashmir. You don't have to kill 500 people to get the desired result. You start killing one people, and third day or the fourth day, you have.
Brijesh, when I was speaking to my sources, they said that when Nagas were neutral, they were able to move from one area to another because at least there was one neutral community. Now, all 3 communities have taken position. It is also hampering security operations throughout Manipur, and I'm saying this with with great authority after speaking to people.
I would say that, the second incident which we are talking about, where, a group of women laid siege to the police station where, they have apprehended 3-4 individuals, and they forced the security forces to hand over those 3 individuals, is also a very, sorry state of affairs and a ringing indictment of the morale of the force and the kind of political will they had. I mean, what is the point of, putting the lives of the Jawan at risk when you go out and arrest these 3 individuals? I mean, I'm just saying that you arrest people who are creating problem, who are inciting violence, and then later on you have to let go of them because of pressure from the civil society. This shows that the political dispensation had no leeway as far as the civil society, civil groups, or all of these 3 ethnicities are concerned. I mean, the political system is living in a vacuum, and the real condition of Manipur is in a completely different.
Mr. Mishra, is the government failing? Is the political establishment failing to solve this political problem in Manipur?
Kartika, I was just listening to Brajesh Pandey. He's absolutely correct. I totally ditto him. I am sorry the state has failed. The security apparatus in that particular state from 2023 for 3 years, they cannot bring it under control. Sorry state of affairs. With 2 more Cobra battalions have gone. I will give you one more instance which we have not discussed, Kartikeya. One Havildar, that is Suresh Singh of 4 IRB, he was stabbed to death in Thobal. This happened on 3rd June. This is what is happening. Now, what else can happen to security forces? It is the same as Colonel Sapam was telling. We cannot keep our national highway clear. You see, even if now 2 battalions of Cobra battalions have gone and so many companies are there, can't we put them at Jiribam and Kangpokpi and Churachandpur, Besnopur, Chandel, all these places? I know it pretty well. I have operated there for 2 years. I have operated in Manipur. This is a failure of security system in Manipur. I am sorry to tell, but
you are saying they have reached it, but officially the press advisor to the chief minister in a group says that Cobra battalions have not reached as of now. So I can't vouch for it.
Something very strange. If they have not reached, they should reach. What is the problem in that? Even if national highway is blocked, but Cobra battalion can go. When the national highway was blocked, we were told to bring all logistical support from Dimapur. We brought it with 1 battalion force. It was done. But here they cannot do it. The Honorable Chief Minister cannot go to Churachandpur. 1 head constable has been stabbed to death just 3 days before.
Okay.
And we couldn't react. This is what has happened. You see, Manipur has started boiling. 3 years we could not control with so many forces. After Bengal, we are having maximum forces in Manipur.
Let me go to Professor Biswasian. He was one of the few people who used to tell me that political engagement is must, Kartikeya. You cannot have a choco-block security. I give that credit to you, Professor. You have been saying this from the day go. It cannot be set aside. Political engagement has to go hand in hand with the security grid. Is the lack of that is the fruit we are reaping today?
Absolutely. You see, the talk with NSC and IM has not resulted into a set of ground rules where proxies of NSC and IM will not be operating. In case of SU with Kuki, the proxies cannot operate. So there should be a kind of a restraint that has to be brought in the process of political dialogue. That restraint is suddenly removed all of a sudden, as if some people have got some license to kill. Now, who are granting them this license? By a certain kind of inaction, certain kind of absence of mechanism of surveillance and accountability. Such a thing can happen, that an orchestrated attack can be perpetuated continually in certain target areas. And those areas need to be mapped. Mapping areas that are vulnerable is the first task that a government must do, and in consultation with the local community. So peace process gets initiated from that kind of a mapping, which is totally absent here. Seemingly government is confined in a certain area.
Why do you think that was not done, Sanjeev? Why was this mapping not done?
because of the complicated inter-ethnic situation in Manipur, no government or no political leader carry that kind of acceptance to the groups which are involved, and the kind of legitimacy that they require even to talk to, let's say, NSC and IM or ZUF. That legitimacy is missing, and as a result, politicians also get involved in kind of crosstalk, and they become party willy-nilly into a kind of a destabilized situation, which they otherwise could have prevented. So this is something that is at the ground level, exactly at this moment, that political forces are not able to come to terms with the ground reality. They also are losing their own ground. So this is something that needs to be repaired and re-orchestrated or remapped, at the brass tacks. So that is something that has to be done at this moment very, very urgently, taking 7 days or so, map all the vulnerable areas, identify people who can be targeted, and prevent all kinds of attacks that are going to happen. This is something that is a must. And this is not happening, and movements are going on, by not protecting oneself. People are all getting exposed to certain kind of attacks and vulnerabilities. That must come to an end.
Mr. Haukip, your comments on that?
Kartikeya, I have a very different view.
Okay.
Now, if we now put Manipur into like 3 different zones, Kuki-Zo, Zomimar, etc. zone, Meitei zone, the Nagas zone. Now, it is very clear, everybody is confined in their own area of dominance. The Kukis cannot go to the Naga areas. The Naga cannot go to Kuki areas. And the Meiteis cannot go to the Kuki areas. It's now very clear. If those people who, preach or who demand for balkanization of Manipur state should see the reality. From the government of India point of view, now is the time. If you give Indian territory or state to Nagas or Kukis or Meiteis, do you think they can travel around? The Kukis in Kangpokpi district, from Kangpokpi to Sekmai, they have it jam-packed. They cannot move around. Now they're struggling. Do you think is it possible to give Union territory to them? Will the Meitei and the Nagas from the back and the front allow them to do it? So now it's time for each and every one of us to have a learning lesson that balkanization of Manipur is not possible. You see the ground realities. We should come to a point of, talking points where each and every multi-ethnic communities should come together and look for a common goal where we can prosper together. Yes, Government of India, MHA is engaging NSC and IM and ZUF, KNO, UPF and UNLF. So that engagement, political engagement is done by the government at different level. That should be kept aside. Now the people need peace. Everyone needs peace. So understanding the ground reality is very important for all the communities. That's my point of view. At this point in time, that's what we need to learn in Manipur. Otherwise, so all the communities living together in Manipur would perish together.
Okay. Colonel Sapam, do you agree with Mr. Haukip?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with him. And, we all have been staying here. And I said again and again that there is no ethnic class over here. There are very deep, deep problem here in Manipur that I have been telling again and again. It is still there. And the interested people and the beneficiaries do not want the problem to be solved. Now it is a high time that central government, when the children are not behaving well, danda chahiye, danda. So danda has to be given. Now the danda has gone from the state government out. It has gone.
Danda nahi
it has gone out. No, it is not there. That is why the national highway on our block. If I want to drive 20 kilometers from here, I can't drive. That is the reality. It's so sad. I can't drive towards, 25 kilometers from here to the northern side and the 15 kilometers to the west. I cannot go. You just imagine that is India. So the capability of the state, as far as this thing is gone. So the central has to intervene. And one more thing which I keep hearing is Manipur police is, going with the Meiteis. No. Manipur police, the Meiteis are this side only. They don't go on the other side. The other side, the Manipur police also there. In the hills, Manipur police is also there. So we cannot say that the Manipur police is going. So we cannot say that the Manipur police is going with the, Meiteis. No. So we should not divide things like this, and we should, we should be thinking in a very rational way. And all the communities, all communities must come together. And as I said before also, 1961, as the state government has said, notified, that 1961, after that, all those people who came to Manipur, they are all foreigners. They are not Indians. Very clear, it should be very clear. And it has got only the half the population of a district in UP. And we cannot solve this problem. It can be counted, NRC and, censored, everything can be done. And once and for all, the fencing should be done and FMR should be done away. I'm not saying that people from the other side should not come to India. No, they should be welcome, but with due process of law. What is wrong in that? The central government has, given this kind of decision. Why there is objection, I don't know. So if we have to think about the future of our people, we all have to stay here peacefully, and we have to try for, betterment in life. Thank you, Kat.
No. We're not ending it right here. I'll come to some of you. Brijesh, there is also one reason. I personally think that the inability of the political establishment to deal with this issue is also stemming from the fact that all lawmakers are not on the same page. First 2 years, they could not get people from different communities to sit together. The entire assembly was dysfunctional. So the highest decision-making authority was not able to get its act together. Well, and if you look at, then came the approach of solving the situation through certain security measures. You had those security advisors who came in. So the political process did not complement, or the security measures happened, but the political process was absent. Where are those peace committees?
Well, if you ask me, Karthikeya, I would say that, a big chunk of what is happening right now in Manipur was also political creation. It was not as if, it started in vacuum.
It stemmed from that.
It stemmed from that. And it was unfortunate, but, one ethnicity firmly believed that the chief of the state was acting against their interest. From sitting in Delhi, we can have a very sanguine view about whether, why the lawmakers are not meeting each other and why the assembly is not functioning. The reality on the ground is completely different. I mean, imagine a situation where an elected member of legislative assembly or a member of parliament is afraid to go from one side to another, because the othering of one community by other community was so extreme that, he knew that if he goes for, or if he falls for, rather I would use the term falls for, the kind of narrative which the central government or the state government was pushing for, he not only risks threat to his life, but also to his political career. And the threat was so real that despite all kind of promises made by the central government and the state government, it could not convince them to act otherwise.
Or do you think that there was a feeling within the government, chalo pehle thanda hone do, then we get into it, not realizing ki thanda nahi hoga mamla?
Well, I think, whosoever thought that thanda hone do and then we will take action, he must be living in some other planet altogether.
Okay, Mr. Mishra, I've said it very bluntly.
एब्सोल्युटली आपने सही बताया कि ठंडा होंगे तो हम देखेंगे, और कर्नल साहब भी सही बोल रहे थे ठंडा के बारे में. मैं क्लियरली बताता हूँ, we have already,
that's why we couldn't get either ठंडा or ठंडा.
Yes, we have waited for 3 years, Mr. Karthikeyan. How many years we will wait? How many people, how many Manipuris will be killed, whether they are Maitis or Nagas or Kukis? How many will be killed? How many will be displaced? 60,000, another 1 lakh will be displaced. Why we have kept so many police forces there and forces, security forces? And sorry, state of affairs. Let the border be sealed. Weapons are still coming, drugs are still coming, and the Tiger Road is it's only one community.
There's one thing I disagree here, sir. Border is okay. Terrorists can cross the border, but what the killing that is taking place in Manipur is of completely different nature. It's an armed civil society killing very innocent people. Isn't that, Professor Prasenjit?
Not really civil society. I think Mishra ji is right here. He's talking about armed insurgent groups, and that is something that we have to take note of. And the armed insurgent groups have a certain logic of operation. And that operability, capacity of the armed insurgents need to be curbed. Now, armed insurgents are joined by vigilante. Vigilante is providing the political and moral support to the armed insurgent groups, and they are targeting the other ethnicity. Now, as far as Kuki ethnic group is concerned, they are becoming its victim, and you can see large-scale victimization. Also, the kind of abduction that has happened preceded this whole incident needed to be brought to an end. The abduction drama didn't come to an end. Day before yesterday, 14 abductees were to be released. They were not released. Public protest was there because 6 of the other side
I think
abductees
that's
also were
a
not
reflection
released.
of an administrative paralysis. I really feel that that's a reflection.
No, it's more than that, Kartikeya, in the sense that you can see the kind of forces that are operating. They are not actually coming within the bounds of any normative understanding between them. No democratic norm is operating. No human values are operating at certain level. Those values and norms have to be instilled. Whichever way it can be instilled, it has to be instilled in the situation.
I really feel very sad about this, and I really feel very sad about this that 3 years down the line and we end up...
No doubt.
Yes, Mr. Sapam,
No
only
doubt.
a minute, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, just 1 minute, please. Professor Prasenjit, one thing which I would like to submit over here. You are not talking about the 6 people whose whereabouts is not known. You are talking about the 14. What I'm saying is, get the 6 also, the 14 also should be out. Please.
Yes, Colonel.
You have
Yes,
to understand
Colonel
this
Sapam.
point. If you don't understand this point, then there's going to be oil always on the fire. This is what I
Colonel
just
Sapam.
wanted to submit.
Colonel Sapam, I have mentioned about 6 abductees. Due respect to you, I have not taken a one-sided view. I'm saying the whole abductees need to be released in a respectable manner in terms of an agreement between the two sides. This is what I'm saying consistently.
Government should work, and government should also be seen to be working. And I think in this case, both parts I think are completely affected.
They are missing.
They are missing. I thank you all of you for joining me in this conversation, and our continuous coverage of Manipur will continue. But it's time for a short break. Once I'm back, and I'll tell you why did Annamalai say bye bye to BJP after a short break.